What's going on, everybody, and welcome to Wrestlemania 13. This is 39 Wrestlemanias in 39 days. We are now on the 13th installment of this project here, and we're still in the middle of the smaller card era, I like to call it, the shorter Wrestlemanias, which I was very thankful for. Both from an editing perspective as well as a viewing perspective. I was able to watch a lot of these in kind of like one day. Whereas those 4-hour ones tend to take up a good chunk of my day to where I can't usually watch more than maybe one. Sometimes I can't even watch a full one a day. So I was definitely thankful for these shorter ones to kind of speed through and get through some of these a little bit quicker. WrestleMania 13 unfortunately decided to break completely free of the Roman numerals and just go 13. It was also nicknamed WrestleMania 13 Heat. A lot of these had names that I really didn't pick up on too much. Like, you know, I mentioned the Stars and Stripes Forever, the Superpowers Collide, but this was the first one where Heat was actually used in a lot of the branding, as you'll see in a couple of the match cards in a second, as well as obviously the title here. This one took place March 23rd, 1997. So little baby Nomad was about to turn 4 years old in a few months when this was going on. So unfortunately, don't remember this one if I did happen to see it. But yeah, some really decent matches on this card. Also, one of my more favorite main event post-match scenes, which we'll get to, even though that match maybe wasn't the banger that some people thought it might be. But I still thought the scene at the end was really nice. So, we'll get right to the reviews here. We have my friend Rob, or Tito, as he likes to call himself. His notes are over there on the side for his reviews. Again, these reviews are scaled from 0 to 10. Rob gave letter grades for his because it was easier for him to do so, and he started doing it. I changed to numbers like kind of really shortly on, but I just told him to stick with the letter grades. It's easier, and they translate pretty well. A's are obviously 10 to 9, B's are 8 to 7, C's are 6 to 4, D's are 3 and 2, an F is a 1 or a 0. Rob is very good about giving pluses and minuses to differentiate which one he's doing, so I told him to just go ahead and stick with the letters. So, let's continue and kick off this card with, let's get the trash out the way early, I guess. A 4-way elimination tag match between the Headbangers, Doug Furnace and Philip LaFauna, the Godwins, and the New Blackjacks. Headbangers end up winning this entire thing. Blackjacks and Furnace and LaFawn were eliminated with very oddly booked countouts. Because it was elimination, so once one member was defeated, they were all defeated, and they kind of picked them two out. I don't recognize any of these tag teams. I don't know if they went by different names at some point, but I don't recognize any of them whatsoever. The real match kind of began when the Blackjacks and Furnace and LaFawn took themselves out. It became Headbangers versus the Godwins. But even still, that match was pretty meh to me. I didn't really care much for their chemistry. I didn't really care much for the offense they were doing. I was really struggling to just kind of keep my focus during this match. I was still puzzling about the odd count-out elimination that took place prior to that. Overall, this match was nothing remarkable for me whatsoever. It was just a really kind of a meh WrestleMania opener, which unfortunately is a trend somewhat to a degree. You've seen some great openers in the past, but unfortunately this was not one. Rob slightly disagreed. He gave us a C+. He gave this, which would be a 6. I gave this match a 3 out of 10. That's going to end up equaling a 9. So that is going to be averaging out to a 4.5, which is going to bump this up to a 5. So a couple of points higher than what I gave it, but you know what? That is completely fine. That is why we have more than just me and more than just Rob reviewing these, so we can make sure these get as fair of a review as possible. So a 5 is where you go, my friends. Next up, we have the World Wrestling Federation Intercontinental title match between Rocky Maivia, versus the Sultan, which was actually Rikishi, by the way, which is interesting. He wasn't the Sultan for very long. He was the Sultan when he was with the Iron Sheik. Rocky won. This is, again, sort of like the previous WrestleMania where we saw Stone Cold and Triple H before they were Stone Cold, the badass Stone Cold, and Triple H was Hunter Hearst Helmsley, was the golden boy still. This is before The Rock was The Rock. He's in his rookie year, his first WrestleMania, and it was honestly kind of boring. The Rock is someone who doesn't really develop his own personality until a couple WrestleManias later. And even still, The Rock is one of those guys that needs someone on the other end. And this is no disrespect for The Rock. He needs someone on the other end to kind of help match his energy. Now, Rock benefited from an era that had that. You had Stone Cold, you had Bret Hart, you had Owen Hart, you had Triple H, you had, eventually, again, the wrestler, not the person. You had Chris Benoit, you had Kurt Angle. You had all these people that came around this time, the late 90s, early 2000s, that kind of gave you a lot of the same energy back that you put in, and it created really good, entertaining matches, and it allowed The Rock to excel. And you can honestly make the case that all of those wrestlers needed each other to put on the classics that they did. Unfortunately, Rikishi is not one of them, and he damn sure wasn't one when he was the Sultan gimmick. This match was not great. You saw some Rikishi in the Sultan, you saw some good moves, you saw the fact that he could really move as a bigger guy, but unfortunately this match was still pretty boring. It was the early version of The Rock, so you didn't see the people's elbow, you didn't see the high flash and selling. You did, but not to the degree that you would when he became The Rock. And honestly, the Sultan looked very sluggish outside of a couple of like sudden jolts of, like I said, that Rikishi athleticism that you would see on occasion. But even then, Rikishi slowed down way once he got a little bit bigger. So didn't really give The Rock much to work with. Not a lot of offense that was done. The selling wasn't great, especially wasn't what I'm used to from The Rock. The Sultan didn't sell very well. Rock looked amazing in the final phases of the match, and you can kind of see The Rock starting to seep in at the end, but unfortunately the match ended right when you finally got to that. I didn't like this match very much. I gave it a 4 out of 10. Rob ended up giving this match a C. So, yeah, we will go ahead and stick with that. I will go ahead and, yeah, we'll stick with that. I'll go, so, yeah, we'll go ahead and move it up to a 5. I think that is a perfect spot for it. We'll go ahead and put you at a 5. Pretty average so far. Billy Gunn versus Flash Funk. I don't know where he's getting that from. I didn't see that match. That match isn't on my card. I didn't watch that match. I just noticed he has that on here. We watched it from the same source. So I don't know how he got that match and I didn't. But it's not on my card. And it wasn't on the card that I got these pictures from. And it wasn't on the cage match that I saw. So I don't know where the hell he got the Billy Gunn versus Flash Funk match from. But, well, okay. Anyway, we're going to move on. Next up, we have Triple H, still in his Hunter Hearst Helmsley getup, with Chyna on his shoulder, versus Goldust and Marlena. Now, Hunter Hearst Helmsley was, I believe, started DX at this point. I could be mistaken. Pretty sure DX had started. He was with Chyna at this point, and Chyna was menacing. She was terrifying on the side. It was fantastic. I love Chyna's presence. I wish that she was around now. If she had come up in modern day, can you imagine the matches that she would be in versus Rhea Ripley, Jade Cargill, Bianca Belair? Oh my god, those matches would have fucking killed. Unfortunately, Chyna's not with us anymore, and unfortunately she came up in the late 90s, early 2000s, when unfortunately women wrestling wasn't taken very seriously, which is a very big missed opportunity. Had this match been 5 minutes less, I would have honestly put this as a 7 out of 10. This match was great. It just dragged. It dragged and dragged and dragged and just felt like it never wanted to end. There was too much time in between flurries. When they were going at it, Goldust and Triple H were putting on a show, And then they would slow down. They would go into a hold, or they would both get knocked down, or they would kind of take things slow, and it was just too much time. Chyna looking menacing was great. The ending was fun and eventful with Chyna bear hugging Milena while Triple H dropped Goldust with the pedigree. It was a great ending, great sequence, fantastic ending. Really showed the power couple that those two would be for a while. Unfortunately, this match just went on for way too long. I gave us a 6 out of 10. It looks like, based on this, Rob was not excited at all about this match, which is really odd, because normally I'm the one that goes way below what Rob puts it at. But Rob disagreed. Rob wasn't interested in this match whatsoever. He gave it a D. I'm going to assume, given that it's just a straight D, he's meant a 3 out of 10. So this is going to average out to a 9. It's going to be another one that's going to average out to a 5. This is starting to look like a trend. So yeah, we're going to go ahead and put this match at the 5, because it's going to end up being a 4.5, which is, again, going to get that bump up. So, yeah, so far we have 3 matches and we have 3 5s. So it's definitely looking like we might end up getting our 3rd straight 5 out of 10 WrestleMania overall. Another straight average WrestleMania event. We're still due for a stinker, so I can't wait for that to come up. I assume we have one. We might not have one. I don't remember anymore. Based on Rob's reviews, this was the stinker, so who knows? Maybe we'll be saved from that fate. Next up, we have the tag team title match between Owen Hart and the British Bulldog, who are the champions coming in, versus Mankind and Vader with Paul Bearer. I don't know how the Paul Bearer connection comes into play here between Mankind and Vader, but there it is. I'm so glad to see Mankind. Again, I'm starting to get into that era of WrestleManias where these are wrestlers that I actually know of, because I watched them growing up. So we're finally getting to the era where I actually recognize people, and Mankind is here. Of course, with Vader, both being masked individuals, great pairing, makes sense. Again, don't know how the Paul Bearer connection comes into play. I don't know the story behind that. I'm sure it made sense at the time. But this match was a decent match between 4 great wrestlers that seemed like a clash of styles. It just didn't seem to mesh like I thought it could. I know that Mick Foley is capable of great things. I know that Vader is capable. Owen Hart is a Hart. We've been over this. He's capable. British Bulldog has put on some stinkers, but has also put on some decent matches as well. So I know what he's capable of, and it just seemed like the chemistry wasn't there. The styles clashed a little bit. It didn't mesh well. No one looked good coming out of this match. It's followed by a count out because it wouldn't be WrestleMania without one. Gotta have a stinker of a finish. We're still not through that yet, it seems. So I give this match a 5 out of 10. Unfortunate. Looks like Rob felt about the exact same. Gave it a straight C. I think he felt the exact same way, where it just seemed like this match never really got going greatly, but also didn't suck. But the count-out finish just doomed it to be an average match between 4 great wrestlers. So, again, another 5. A disturbing trend is happening here. Next up, we have Stone Cold versus Bret Hart in a submission match that Bret Hart ends up winning by making Stone Cold passed out. This match was fucking amazing. I loved it. I gave it a 10. Rob gave it an A. This is going to probably save this WrestleMania from being a full stinker. But don't let me tell you. I'll let Rob tell you too. And today's the match review. What's going on, everybody, and welcome to the match review. Today we are here with Rob once again, because I haven't found someone to replace him yet. That's just kidding. I would never replace you. We're here to review WrestleMania. We're here to review WrestleMania 13. Stone Cold Steve Austin versus Bret Hart in a submission match. The story behind this match is pretty interesting. I'd have to research it again. I know I researched it when I was first watching it, but basically, like, they fucked over each other.
You know, I was going to fucking roast you and say that you two are one and the same. You're both fucking bald and you got bad knees, but then that's actually a compliment because Stone Cold's good at what the fuck he does.
I'm just gonna, like, edit out everything he says this entire review now. So yeah, this match was obviously another all-time classic match. Everyone returns to this match to watch it. It's one of Stone Cold's best matches that don't involve The Rock or Triple H. And honestly, it was interesting because Stone Cold's not a submission specialist, and he openly says that here. He more so does limb targeting to try to break down Bret Hart, so that way when he does finally hit a submission on him, he can beat him. Bret Hart is obviously a submission specialist, giving his technical wrestling repertoire, so this was definitely his wheelhouse of a match, and it ended with a busted, wide-open Stone Cold passing out in the sharpshooter. We mentioned it earlier. Iconic scene of him just blood just drenching down, passing out. Kim Shamrock calling the match there. What did you think of this match, and which one of these two do you think this match helped more? Because this match did kind of cement
helped Stone Cold more, 100%.
You think so?
Yeah, I don't think he was the full-on rattlesnake gimmick.
Not yet. He was closing in on it.
And I think this was the same year as the Austin 316.
I think that was the year before this one, because there was 316.
Yeah, you're right. But I feel like that one, obviously made Stone Cold something that he didn't know that was going to make him. Now, this is one of those, like, Stone Cold's a fucking badass. He bled profusely. He passed out, which wasn't supposed to happen, but he lost so much blood. I mean, what can you do? Like, you literally see his whole body go limp, and that's not an act. You can't act with your whole body just going limp. You know what I mean? Like, our minds just don't do that. And
now, was the finish supposed to be Bret Hart winning this, or was Stone Cold supposed to win it?
I think on his Broken Skull podcast, Bret Hart was always supposed to win.
Just not that way.
Yeah, it just made him look that much better.
Because he passed out instead of tapping out.
Yes.
Gotcha. Honestly, sometimes accidents produce better results.
So then that raises the question. So like when someone gets in like a headlock and then they do the arm drop, the 3. How do you do that if someone? Because technically they're passed out, right? So how would you do that for someone in his situation?
They didn't.
Would you just lift his leg?
It's
a hypothetical.
I have no idea. I mean, his position, you would tap out. I mean, or pass out like he did. But like you said, he went limp, so the referee called it. I have no idea how you would do that normally. I thought this match was excellent. I thought the back and forth was excellent. I thought the chemistry was which is odd. Again, the chemistry was excellent between the two, but this is not a match that I thought I would see. This is definitely a match that I thought could have produced a decent match, but I felt like they contrasted too much. It's Stone Cold Steve Austin and Bret Hart. That's like Cody Rhodes versus Rey Mysterio. That's probably gonna be a banger match. Not if they produced a 10 out of 10 match like these two. I was gonna
say Cody Rhodes versus Daniel Bryan. Daniel Bryan is very technical. Like
I can see that being a much better match. Like a Rey Mysterio versus Cody Rhodes match, would be an interesting matchup, but not one that I would expect to produce a 10 out of 10 match. That's what I saw here. Did not expect these two to draw a 10 out of 10 match like they did, and they absolutely fucking did. Absolutely iconic ending, iconic match, great, never boring, always entertaining. Crowd is obviously into it because, again, Stone Cold had taken over Shawn Michaels' repertoire here of just basically eating the crowd eating out of his hand at this point, even before he started flipping the birds to everyone. Loved every moment of it. Absolutely recommend this match 110%. The birth of Stone Cold Steve Austin, in my opinion, is this match.
Give me a hell yeah.
Much better than his previous match that we saw when he was still the $1 Million Man gimmick. Hell yeah. And overall, I didn't take any notes in this match. I was just absolutely enthralled. And I love this match.
There's a few once like WrestleMania 10 hit, that's when it started just me watching and not thinking, what can I talk about this match? I don't get that luxury because I have a YouTube channel to run, and all he needs to do is send me letter grades and pay attention to the one match that we both review. Yeah. And I mean, another thing is, I'm watching it more or less for the match. I'm kind of ignoring the story unless I already know what it is.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a little bit of bias.
So there's your explanation as to how he keeps fucking up these classics.
Look, man, I'll put you in a sharpshooter.
That's okay. I'll just pretend like you didn't give an A+ the fucking B earlier. Anyway, outside of our best friend bickering here, do you think this match would hold up today?
Yes.
I think so too.
100%.
This match would be an all-time classic today. And I think that's truly what a classic is. Like, if this match happened at WrestleMania 40, we'd still fucking lose our shit. Which, by the way, we're going to it live. Mm-hmm. So that's going to be fun.
I feel like this match deserves to be on WrestleMania 17.
I agree. I also think this match should be on WrestleMania 2K24, which I think it is, actually. I think this one is on there. The WrestleMania Showcase. So that's exciting to actually get to play it. Anyway, guys, that's all I have time for today. So this doesn't stretch on for 20, 30 minutes. So that's where I'm going to leave it at. Until next time.
Back to me.
Yeah.
Huh?
Welcome back, guys. And yeah, again, this is pretty easy. This is a 10 out of 10. Even if Rob meant a 9 and not a 10, it's going to average out to a 9.5, so it's going to get bumped up to a 10. This is an all-time classic match. It's talked about to this day. Stone Cold technically does not submit in this match. It was a great story coming in as well between these two. An absolute all-time classic. The image of Stone Cold in that sharpshooter with just blood pouring down his face is iconic as all can be. Just an absolute amazing match. So, 10 out of 10. There you go. This WrestleMania is saved. Won't be average. That is, of course, if these last two matches don't ruin it. Because next up we have a six-man tag team Chicago Street fight between the Legion of Doom, Road Warrior, Animal, and Hawk, and Ahmed Johnson versus the Nation of Domination, Farouk, Crush, and Savio Vega. Now, of course, the Legion of Doom win, because you're not going to have them lose a WrestleMania, right? This was just a fucking absolute chaotic mess, which is pretty much all Legion of Doom matches, but it was also all Nation of Domination matches, too. Horrible botches in this match. It's a sloppy mess. Chaotic and entertaining. It was simple, fun, with no true purpose. The only problem is that there was a feud that actually led to this. Ahmed Johnson was getting beat around by the Nation of Domination for months, so he enlisted the help of Legion of Doom to even the odds and take it to him. It was a great story coming in, and they just got rid of it. It didn't exist. This match didn't sell the story. It didn't tell the story. It didn't complete the story. It didn't work with the story. It was a mess. It was fun. It was fun. It was interesting to watch, but the lack of any importance, which unfortunately conflicted everything else that had happened on this card up to date, I gave this match a 4 out of 10. Rob disagreed. Rob loved the chaos. He gave his match a B. Again, we're finally back to Rob thinking matches are way better than I did, but he gave his match a B. That's going to be a 7 out of 10. It's going to make it an 11. That is going to end up putting it at a 5.5, so this match is still going to be a 6. It's still going to be an above-average match, so the card is still saved, even though I wasn't super impressed by this. So, guys, we might be looking at the first good WrestleMania. We've had a couple high fives, but this might actually be the first truly good WrestleMania. If it hits a 6, that's damn good. Let's see if this finale can't fucking ruin it. Next up we have Undertaker versus Psycho Sid for the WWF World Heavyweight Champion, and the Undertaker wins. Like I said before, the scene with Undertaker with the belt. Undertaker is one of my favorites. He's on my Mount Rushmore, and I love seeing him with a belt. He did not win it enough, but I also think it made sense. I don't think a belt worked with his character, if I'm being perfectly honest with you. Undertaker could sell a feud without a title. He got one when he deserved it, when he had earned it, but he did not need a title to sell you on a good match. And I'm really glad he finally got this one. Of course, the match started off with Bret Hart getting involved. It ended with him getting involved. Very Hulk Hogan-esque, if I do say so myself. Bret Hart was starting to take the mantle from him. Had to make the match about himself, which is honestly the biggest detriment to this match, was the fact that Bret Hart did get involved at the end to fuck over Psycho Sid. The beginning of this match, very good. The quality does slowly degrade over time and eventually withered away entirely. I thought the match started off with high energy, but Psycho Sid cannot keep it up. You could tell The Undertaker was trying to carry it as much as he could, but again, it's Psycho Sid. Psycho Sid's never been good. I've said this before. I never was impressed by him. His matches didn't impress me. His matches never had chemistry. They never had good flow. They always seemed to have fucky finishes, even the match with Hulk Hogan. I've never been a fan. That's been pretty open. A lot of these guys that were like force-fed into the audience, I don't like. Hulk Hogan, Ultimate Warrior, Psycho Sid. Why do these people always get main events? Bret Hart was starting to wane on me towards these any times. Of course, I don't hate Bret Hart. He's a great wrestler, but his character was starting to grind on my gears here a little bit towards the end here, because it was like he had to insert himself into every single event. Again, I know it's scripted. I know that's the way it's supposed to be. It's supposed to grind your gears. At least I hope it is. But at this point, I was tired of seeing him. The Bret Hart interference takes away from Undertaker the win, in my opinion. I would have much rather have seen Undertaker win his first title clean. At least I know he wins his second title clean. I think him and Batista, no one gets involved. Obviously, I haven't seen that match yet. I watched it live, of course, when it first happened. I haven't seen it since, so I haven't gotten to that in this rewatch. So I can't remember if Evolution gets involved in that. I'm pretty sure they had long broken up before then, but again, I'll have to get to that point to see for certain. But overall, started high, fell, finished around a slightly above average mark. So I gave this a 6 out of 10. Because I felt like it kind of started at a 9 and then just slowly fell apart. 6 out of 10 is where I left it at. Rob agrees with me on the fact that it fell apart, but he was much harsher with it and gave it a D+. So Rob gave it a 3. I gave it a 6. This is another one that's going to average out to that 9. So it's going to average out to that 4.5 mark. And once again, we have a 5. That's, yeah. Rob's grade dropped it down, but did not drop it below a 5. This is the first WrestleMania that does not have a bad match overall. Any match that I didn't care for, Rob liked. And any match that Rob didn't care for, I liked. This is incredible. This is why I didn't want to be the only one reviewing these. I wanted at least one other person to join me with this because of this. This is the pinnacle of what wrestling should be about. What entertains one person may not entertain the next, and what doesn't entertain one is going to be the match of the night for someone else. And this is why I did it. Wow. Who would have thought that WrestleMania 13, a WrestleMania that no one really talks about outside of the Stone Cold Bret Hart match, is arguably the best WrestleMania. I don't think the average is going to show that, but the fact that we have no stinkers on this card is pretty damn impressive. But let's find out. Yeah, this is going to average out to a 5.86. This is going to be the highest rated WrestleMania that we have done so far. 5.86. That is incredible. Wow, no stinkers. That is great. Interesting. Well, there you have it, guys. WrestleMania 13 has been the best WrestleMania so far. Who would have thought? With this card coming in, did not look it. But there we go. That is it. Guys, y'all have a fantastic evening. Oh, wow. Who would have thought with this card would have been the best WrestleMania so far? Well, you guys have a fantastic day, and I will see you guys at WrestleMania 14 tomorrow. Good night, guys.